my name is Alyssa, and I am the product director for Isaac in Singapore. And I recently graduated with a Bachelor of Science majoring in biotechnology.
Hi guys, I'm Sagar Kalra. I'm currently the National Marketing Director for ISAC in Singapore, and I have a bachelor's in the financial markets. Um, so today we are going to be talking about the topic which is addressing the collaborative efforts of voluntary organizations in achieving sustainable development goals in COVID-19. And we'll be specifically touching on SDG number 17. Alyssa, if you could tell us like what SDG 17 is about.
Yeah, so essentially, the SDG 17 is partnerships for the goals, and the concept of it is enhancing the global partnerships for sustainable development. And it is complemented by multi-stakeholder partnerships that mobilize and share knowledge, expertise, technology, and financial resources in order to support the achievement of the sustainable development goals in different countries, because not all countries actually have the resources for it. And this entire SDG 17 is a major support for those countries that are still developing. Um, you know, if you've actually read different articles, UN has explained that a successful sustainable development agenda requires these partnerships between governments, especially with the private sector and the civil society, because these are the enablers of the whole setup of the sustainable development goals. And these inclusive partnerships will be built upon, different things such as your principles and values, a shared vision, and shared goals that place people as well as our Earth at the center of everything that we need. And usually you'd see partnerships happening on a national level, local level, regional level, and even international level. So under the United Nations, they've actually defined different targets and indicators for SDG 17. And there are a couple of sectors that falls under five indicators or five targets at least. So the 19 targets and 25 indicators fall under finance, technology, capacity building, trade, and systemic issues, which is a whole lot of different things. And that's why there is a need for a partnership, like the partnerships for the goals. So yeah, like what do you reckon? Because we've only got 9 years left. Like what do you think about our progress, at least, Sagar?
I think that we can make it because I think COVID has, although there are like a lot of drawbacks regarding like COVID-19 and what it has caused, but I think a couple of positive points have also been that we together as a society have also come together. Because if you see the current state in India, we are currently do not have enough oxygen at the moment, and there have been like other organizations, even like other governments like outside of the government of India, that have been helping out. Like for example, Singapore send us like a oxygen container so that it's easier for us to actually transport oxygen from one city to another. Then we also have Google and Microsoft who gave us like funds as well um, in order for us to like procure more oxygen as well. So I think it's quite achievable, and I think like the partnerships aspect of it is extremely important, because I don't think that we can do anything alone. Like even like at least even in like our personal lives, or even when we are working, we always tend to work in teams, and that way we are able to utilize each other's strengths as well and cover for each other's weaknesses. So I think like partnership for goals also allows us to like share the expertise that we have. Like if someone is particularly good in something, they can help out someone who's like comparatively weaker in something else. And like since you are already handle like a product head for like Isaac as well, like compared to COVID, before we were just doing exchanges where we were sending people abroad, but now we really can't even do exchanges. So how do you think, like how do you feel about this change management that you needed to do?
Yeah, I completely agree to that. It has been very difficult, of course. Challenges came with the role, and at the same time, it's been a fulfilling one because it kind of proves um, the potential of the world. Like within a year, we've shifted into lots more digital friendly platforms. We've made opportunities a lot more accessible. We've made education accessible through online means. We've made learning a lot more easier, where you no longer have to actually be in the school itself. And the fact that what we did before the COVID was that we were sending young people overseas in challenging environments so that they can develop, technical skills, professional skills, leadership skills, like different types of skills depending on the opportunities that we had. And you know, the limitations that we have right now doesn't provide us with the same opportunities, but it did give us an opportunity for young people to innovate new ways to still understand the sustainable development goals, still understand um, what kinds of skills is needed in new work in the new norm of work life, where remote working is a lot more common now. And companies and organizations are a lot more open to engaging international talent just by reaching out to one another. And something that we're currently doing as Isaac is that we're in the midst of building a program, a virtual professional program that allows young people to develop skills, both professional and personal soft skills in order to be ready for the future, right? And aside from that, it's not just about what we've been doing. I think looking at different um, platforms for education like your universities, we've set up lots of different platforms such as Microsoft or Zoom, in order to teach new things. Miro, like we've discovered, and we've been creating new platforms that's a lot more engaging, and we're constantly building, we're constantly changing, we're constantly finding new ways to engage our students. And I think that's actually the power of partnerships, whereby you're building on the strengths of each of the faculties, you're building on the strengths of each industry to find new ways to tackle the different challenges that we have in the future. And we're only growing in the current circumstances that we're in. And yeah, I think it's been lots of learnings at the same time. And like what you've mentioned before, with we find more unity. Like we see countries not relying on each other, but working towards each other to ensure that we're all okay, and that we all have the resources to move past this phase that we're currently in. um like, how about you? Like, what was your personal experience like, especially working remotely? Like, you've been working remotely for Isaac in Singapore.
um I think it's been good, because like even when, like, okay, like whenever you're working remotely, you aren't really like engaging with someone, like, in person. And engaging with someone in person and being able to you could say like empathize with them is something that's kind of hard, because you've never actually met the person. And even seeing everything right now, where people are like contributing a lot, even though they probably, because there are like a couple of like like I don't have like the exact word, but like just like how keto, you have those donation campaigns that are coming about, right? There's like one campaign that's actually going around, which I think has collected around like 10,000, like not 10,000, sorry, like around 10 crores for like supplying oxygen to India. And like that kind of amazes me as well, because you probably, you are not there on like the ground level just to understand like how bad things possibly are right now. And you're still like willing to contribute with like blind faith, because you kind of empathize with them, and that you want things to get better. So that's why, like, when I see this happening, like even like working remotely, I'm able to empathize with someone else. I think we've come like a long way. Because I can genuinely now feel like you can just, you don't really need to be like in person to connect with someone. Like, I think together as like a society also, we have, like as you mentioned, like a sense of unity that's come together, where we actually need to help each other. So that's why I feel like within like the 9 years that we have, we'll definitely move closer to the goal that we've set for ourselves. And we obviously cannot do it alone. So we need to work with each other in order to make it happen. And another thing I would say is that although it's organizations also coming together, another thing is that there's also the responsibility of youth. Like the youth also needs to contribute as well. Like for example, you deciding to join ISEC and contributing uh, to like the sustainable development goals. Even IDS like taking up this initiative in order to raise awareness about sustainable development goals. Like it comes up to each individual as well as to how they would like to contribute to society. Like we can't really only wait for like people like things to like kind of just fall down to us. It's up to us also to take the initiative to do something and to like work towards the goals that we set up. Like I know that you went for like a global volunteer exchange as well, right? So like how did your
Mm-hmm.
experience go? Like how did you feel when you were in your exchange?
Yeah, so I went for an exchange in Kenya. It was a 6-week program, and my project was all about the SDG 4 and SDG number 10. So that's quality education and reduce inequalities, respectively. So, what I was doing, my project was focused a lot on teaching children with learning disabilities. And the background of it in Kenya is that they don't actually have organizations or schools or resources to properly support these children. So they're expected to attend schools as normal children, and naturally, they aren't learning the same way as your usual children do. And so the founder actually decided to open up their own organization with her twin sister, which is really nice. And it's like all the children, it wasn't just about dyslexia because it was marketed as a dyslexic organization of Kenya, but they accepted just generally children with all types of learning disabilities to come. So children came all around from Kenya to stay for a couple of months to study, and then they would return home. And it wasn't about making or changing the lives of these children over the 6 weeks. It was really about me learning about the issues because I didn't know about um, the troubles or the impacts of the impact of learning disabilities on young children or how it would look like because it does vary from child to child, and this experience itself has, I wouldn't say 100%, but it gave me the confidence as well as a better understanding of why there is a need to provide such quality education to them, why there is a need to reduce inequalities, why there is a need to actually form all these partnerships because like the impact of one is great, but imagine the impact of like 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people contributing to the same thing, and that's the whole concept of the United Nations, why we set these up in the first place. And I was able to also learn learn from a new culture. I was able to challenge myself in a new environment and not just see my strengths but also see areas where I can improve, so that it's just areas of improvement that I could move forward with. And it was such a good experience being able to interact with different people and see the passion with the children in learning. I think that grounded me as to why I decided to continue with the organization, because I wanted to bring more people to them instead of waiting for them to be able to have that opportunity to travel out only when they're much much older. And yeah, that kind of brings us back to the whole concept of partnership for the goals. It's no longer about a single man working towards something super big, but it's working towards one another, providing support to each other, as well as providing the best resources so that we can move forward together as like um, uh, sorry, move together as an entire international planetary, and being able to make the greatest impact that we actually are capable of making. So yeah, that was my experience. And you've like, even for Sagar, I think it's pretty cool that despite being in another country, he has been able to connect people within Singapore and even in India, like I am talking on behalf of Isaac in Singapore for IDS Mumbai, and I think that's pretty cool. Being able to share my perception or my ideas with this audience, right? I think like that's such a great thing about partnership protocols.
Like even like I agree. Like even for our term also, so like we both have like a tenure of like just 1 year, and for us also I think it falls also on, like I kind of feel like it would be the responsibility of organizations to actually create possibilities for the youth as well. But it also comes back to the youth taking up these opportunities, like no matter how many chances or how many opportunities like a person has, like if they do not take up that opportunity, then it's kind of like there would be like no one else. It's kind of like, I think it also comes down to us, for us to be the person who takes up the opportunity rather than wait for like someone else to go out there and make something. If you feel like you kind of have like a solution for something, and I think that you shouldn't wait for someone. Like I think you should go ahead like by yourself. And I think that's what partnerships for goals also symbolizes for me, is you come over here, you see, like if I see that you are having like a issue, like we have these calls where we meet every single week just to talk about how we can help each other. If you tell me that you need help with doing like market research or something, then I can step in and help you out over there. Like I think partnership also comes from a sense of um not just like matching. By matching I mean that I help you now with the expectation that I will get something equal in return. I think partnership for goals comes from a sense that of being a giver, like in the sense that I'm going to give you something, I'm going to contribute to your life in a way where I do not expect anything back in return. And I think that's what partnership for goals means for me. That is to give without an expectation to receive anything in return.
Yeah, I think you pretty much summarized it really well, where it's all about us growing together and being able to, I would say, not just give, but also learn from what we can actually do after that giving. Um, and I think moving forward post COVID-19, it's just COVID-19 is just going to be that stepping stone and that proof that regardless of no, regardless of any challenges that faces us, we can really rely on one another, or rely on not just countries but even organizations that have similar beliefs, can rely on one another to make a path, like create a big growth, even in a short period of time, because growth never stops. I think the change never stops. Change is the only constant thing, and the partnerships will always be there to support that change.